one of the things I've been wondering is whether we should talk up the value of curiosity through people's studies, but also beyond. And it's at this point, I think that language of curiosity might help us, because when AI produces some material, or even if it's only in an early phase of an essay or an exam preparation, you still want students to be curious, probably more than ever, about whether what AI has said is accurate, whether it's just trying to please the audience, whether it's too biased towards the English-speaking world or the North American world. So it has led me to reflect again on the value of curiosity and learning to ask good questions. It's not easy to ask good questions generally in life, but we probably need more practice in that.
Welcome to the Ridley College podcast. Here you'll find public lectures, stories from our students and faculty, and insights from leading experts on the Bible, theology, and ministry.
Welcome to Inside Ridley, a sub-series of the Ridley College podcast, where we give you a little window into the people, conversations and ideas shaping life at Ridley College. So sit back, enjoy the chat, and we hope you find it an encouragement. My name is Rhys Bezzant, Principal of Ridley, and I'm here this morning to chat with Bec Muir.
That's right.
Bec, tell us what you teach here.
I teach New Testament.
And some Greek along the way?
A little bit, yeah.
And congratulations, you've reached the end of semester. This is week 12.
It is, yes.
What are your emotions when we get to this week of the semester?
Sadness, we've developed a good rapport with the class. So, sadness that that's coming to an end, a little bit of relief, thinking how much work I'm going to get done in the next few weeks.
and we talked last time in our podcast about your work on your doctorate.
Yeah, that's right.
This year's the goal to get it more or less done. So some of the mid-year break might be occupied by that. Yeah,
that's right, yes. Yeah, I'm looking at a little bit more writing time than I have the last few weeks and hoping that I can be productive with that.
And you've got a class this week, presumably?
Yes, that's right. So New Testament overview on Wednesday evenings. So Mike's actually teaching this week. We're doing Revelation to finish up the semester.
Fancy that,
But we're doing a bit of a class party, so I'll come along.
Oh, yes, I see. Good on you. Yeah. What has stood out for you this semester at Ridley? Are there things that you're particularly thankful for or that you've enjoyed? Of course, the engagement with class is always the heart of what we kind of do and enjoy at Ridley.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's always the teaching is the thing that I love the most. So I've had some really good conversations with students this semester, as we've looked at various issues in the New Testament.
Yeah,
there's been some great conversations come out of that.
So, yeah. We've had a full program.
Yes.
There's a lot that Ridley does, not just in lectures, but outside of lectures. I suppose one of the big events in the last few weeks has been the visit of the Archbishop to give a lecture on ordination or pathways for ministry.
Yes.
What did you enjoy most about the lecture?
It was fantastic to see so many people coming and wanting to engage with that. Clearly, there's a lot of excitement about the Archbishop and the things he might bring to the diocese, his vision for the future. So I think we had about 170 in the room and I think 200 online.
It might be the largest event that Ridley's ever run, if we're thinking of just nearing 400 people, which is extraordinary, really.
Yeah, that's right. So it was good to meet him and to hear some of his vision. Great that he is really passionate about raising up leaders in the diocese. So.
Yes, he has some great ideas and he speaks our language when he's talking about how to be intentional. I think he used the word intentional like 17 times or something in the course of his lecture. How do we intentionally find people who might pursue full-time ministry? How do we intentionally develop them, ordain them, send them? So that kind of language warmed my heart. He's new in Melbourne, so he's only been around for 6 months. So he's got more ideas than I think he'll be able to enact in a lifetime of ministry. But
that's right.
That's right. For the time being, that's been just a joy to riff off his energy in a way.
I did feel slightly daunted about some of his ideas of what that might involve for then Ridley. So we'll see how some of that pans out.
Yeah, that's right. He has. I think he's probably one of those guys who has more ideas every day than he can ever enact. And it gave me pause for thought, like what are our faculty doing? And I think we are greatly engaged in churches and para-church ministries, either preaching on Sundays or running seminars for leaders, visiting churches, supporting issues, public issues or pastoral issues that churches in Melbourne face. So I came away feeling quite thankful for the faculty actually and all they do. I would hesitate to ask the faculty to do more because we're pushed to the limit. And even today we've just farewelled Andrew Malone in chapel, having been involved with Ridley for 31 years or 3,500 years or something. So we're kind of aware of Andrew's capacity in teaching and in training, which is just wonderful. And my prayer is that the Spirit would open new doors for him to use his prodigious gifts in other spaces or other locations. And there were a number of references to his love of the book of Hebrews in chapel this morning, which was really sweet.
Yeah. It's been such a privilege being able to be taught by him and to have my love of Hebrews nurtured.
Yeah, of course.
Alongside him. So
it's probably pretty rare that a college has two faculty who have Hebrews as their focus of research, or at least focus of interest. Yours is research, Andrew's a focus of interest as well. We've got to week 12. Can you remember what it was like for you to sit exams at Ridley?
It changed a fair bit over the course of my time as a student.
Sure.
So my first year, we were sitting in a room, paper, exam in front of us, trying not to get cramped hands as we wrote for longer than we normally did. So that was the first year. Then COVID, of course, disrupted things a fair bit. But by the end of my degree, everything had moved to online exams.
Yeah, sure.
So
do you have a preference?
I actually don't mind sitting in a room. 2 hours focused, no distractions. The marker knowing that I'm sitting there with no resources, just, so the expectations are just see what you can do for 2 hours.
And things are changing in our world almost as we speak, right? Have you been tracking with AUT's new thinking about exams and AI-proofed assessment tasks?
I can't say that I've been able to keep up with every single little development, but I've tried to keep abreast of it. So definitely that's something that we're going to be discussing at faculty conference in a couple of weeks, is to work out
It's got quite serious, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The way we have to change the kinds of assessments to make some assessment tasks at least secure and clearly not influenced by students accessing AI. But I think the AUT is nonetheless accepting that we can't avoid AI, and we have to recognise that it's part of students' pretty regular learning patterns now, as much as that's different from in my day. Yeah,
that's right. And I think students more and more in their workplaces are going to be encouraged to use AI rather than being discouraged.
Yeah.
So I think at Ridley we need to really be thinking about how we teach students where AI is really helpful and where it's not, and help students to keep on thinking about the kinds of tasks that AI might be good for, but also the kinds of ways that they need to keep on developing their own thinking and their own skills and their own writing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that when they preach a sermon, they're bringing their own soul to the task of preaching and not just regurgitating something that's been done for them, or avoiding their own heart and mind, which would be a kind of disaster.
Even just being able to read a whole article, we don't want that to be a skill that people lose.
It's true. It's true.
Using AI summaries.
I've never actually used an AI summary.
Okay.
So this is new to me. I mean, I knew about it, but I've not actually done it. Yeah.
Even on Google?
No.
Okay.
No.
You don't have the AI summary at the top of your Google search?
Oh, do I? I don't know. Oh, probably.
Okay,
Is that yeah, that's AI as
that's
well.
an
Yeah,
AI
sure,
summary,
yeah.
Yeah, so
If you're asking for a word's meaning or something, it might
yeah,
give you
that's
a
right.
word's meaning. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So, yeah, it's hard to escape completely.
That is
But,
true.
yeah.
That is true. And you probably don't I don't realize when I'm actually accessing AI. I can think of it in really nefarious ways where you actually get AI to write a sermon for you or to write an essay for you, but that's different from what is mainly the way I'd approach it or use it. Yeah.
So I think we need to not be scared of it, but we also need to keep encouraging students to not let it do the thinking for them,
That's
I think
it.
is the problem.
And even today, the Pope has released an encyclical on AI and its impact on our humanity. Not that I've read it, of course, yet, but it's engaging theological leaders at the highest levels as we work out what's going to mean for employment, workplaces, personal engagement with each other.
Yeah. As well as all the ethical issues around climate and water use.
The data centers and absorbing lots of resources from communities that can't probably afford to surrender those
so it's
resources.
not a straightforward issue.
It
by
really
any
is not.
means,
It really, we need actually theological minds to help us think through this.
Yeah.
I'm an old guy on this score, but have you had a conversation with students about how they're thinking or not using AI?
I have actually. So I told my New Testament class that they had to be diligent about not falling into the temptation of opening up AI during their online exam.
Oh,
So I said, don't even open up the ChatGPT tab.
Yeah, sure.
Steer clear of it. And a student asked me, what about preparation for the exam? And he actually had some quite good ideas of how he might use it to help organize his material, to be suggesting potential questions that he could practice on. So,
I see, sure. And how did you respond in the classroom to that?
I said that was all fine. So I sort of fell back to the Ridley guidelines about the kinds of AI use that are acceptable on assessments. And so some of that pre-work, is something that students are allowed to use.
Yeah, sure.
So long as it's not generating the text for you that you're going to actually use in an exam.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did use AI, translated a biography of St. Francis a few years ago from German into English. I determined that I was not going to use AI. I'd done 95% of it and I had yet to do the introduction. So I asked Google Translate to translate the German introduction into English. And it was so hopeless that it took me almost as long to rework it as it had saved me in the first instance. Probably just because the nuance of the words or AI wasn't trying to capture the style of the German author, though some of it was translated perfectly adequately. But I confess that I did use it on that particular occasion.
Yeah.
With some profit.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things, using AI for something that in an area you already know something about to assist you, that's probably where it's going to find its place.
Yes.
It's students using it for something that they actually don't know very much about themselves yet.
Yeah.
They can't tell when it's a good answer or a bad answer. So
that's it. We've been talking in the last year or so about graduate attributes at Ridley, and one of the things I've been wondering is whether we should talk up the value of curiosity through people's studies, but also beyond. And it's at this point, I think that language of curiosity might help us, because when AI produces some material, or even if it's only in an early phase of an essay or an exam preparation, you still want students to be curious, probably more than ever, about whether what AI has said is accurate, whether it's just trying to please the audience, whether it's too biased towards the English-speaking world or the North American world. So it has led me to reflect again on the value of curiosity and learning to ask good questions. It's not easy to ask good questions generally in life, but we probably need more practice in that.
And I think especially when you're a student, you're sitting under authority. You're sitting under, you're taking what your teachers are saying as authority, what you're reading from other scholars as authority. And I think that's part of the danger with AI, is taking AI as an authority, that what AI is saying is something that you can trust. And I think that's where curiosity comes in with what you're reading in the library. What's this author saying? What presuppositions or their own situation has led them to approach this topic this way? So those are questions that we should be asking of real human beings and where they're coming from.
Yeah,
but then also definitely, like you say, applying that to the kinds of results we're getting from AI.
The AI will give you. I suppose we're talking about the pursuit of wisdom, or how an individual learns to sift various inputs or various pressures that their world throws in their direction, and finding a space to honour the Lord from their depths in whatever context they find themselves in, and not being satisfied with easy answers, and kind of going back to the scriptures to work out how that they fit with that cultural issue or that political issue or that philosophical issue that's right in front of them.
Yeah. And so that's actually one of the things that I really like about having an exam at the end of semester, is it's that chance to keep on bedding down some of that reflection from the semester.
Yes.
So if you finish the semester with an essay, for example, that doesn't give you the chance to be reflecting across the whole unit of some of those things that you've been hopefully reflecting on in your reading and assignments throughout the semester. So
it is pretty important. One of the things I've started to do with some of my history units is at the end of the semester, get students to read a biography of a Christian leader, and to show how that biography reflects themes from the course. And I think the advantage of that assessment task, at least, is that AI is unlikely to be able to help you very much. It could summarize the book, but it's probably not so able at working out how the themes of the book reflect themes of the semester. So I'm pretty happy with myself.
You should try. You should ask AI to do that and see how well it does.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
You reckon it might have a shot at it?
I reckon it would have a shot if you put in the outline of the course. I reckon it would have a shot. So it would be interesting to see whether you think it actually does a good job or not.
Sure. That scares me now, but yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take a break from our conversation to watch this video. Because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. Dear friends, when I began my role as principal almost 18 months ago now, one thing became very clear to me. The church needs more men and women who are confident in the Lord, people who can boldly proclaim the gospel in all kinds of settings, and who persevere in prayer for the coming of the kingdom. Now, like the believers Paul wrote to in Philippi, we want to form leaders who trust not in themselves, but in God and His purposes for the church and the world. So as we look to the future, I want to invite you to partner with us as we grow and send out competent and godly workers for the harvest. Right now at Ridley, we're focusing on 3 key priorities. First, further equipping our students through continual development of our curriculum and technology, strengthening online units so that every student, whether studying on campus or studying remotely, gets the highest possible quality learning material and ministry formation. Second, forming future church leaders through our Anglican Institute program, designed specifically to grow and prepare servants and leaders for the Anglican Church. And third, partnering with churches and parachurch organisations through the appointment of a dedicated partnerships manager, strengthening relationships, equipping church communities with trusted Bible resources, and supporting sustainable pathways into ministry. You may not know that student fees cover only around 60% of our costs. To continue our work at Ridley, we need to raise $400,000 by the 30th of June. Will you join us as we seek to bless the church in Melbourne and beyond? I'm so thankful for your partnership and excited to see how God will bless us so that we might bless many others.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, Rhys, it's end of financial year season.
It is indeed.
Where we're thinking about some of our priorities and our needs for the next 12 months and beyond. And I know that one area that Ridley has always tried to be at the front of the game, putting time and resources into is our online program. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your vision for what that might look like next?
Yes. The online program at Ridley has been around for kind of 15 odd years, and we've upped the ante in the last 10 years in terms of the production values of our videos, employing an educational designer to make sure that this is the best educational experience and a spiritually rich, not just intellectually rich experience. We've had wonderful support in putting these videos or the whole units together, which is wonderful. But we're asking the question, what will the next 5 or 10 years look like? And our educational designer, Di Hockridge, is undertaking quite a large-scale review, asking students, asking faculty, trying to work out what's the best that's being offered overseas and in Australia. We've got so much to be thankful for. Our online program has around 200 students, but we can't rest on our laurels. We need to think what technological advances might shape what we do in the next 5 or 10 years. What are students looking to learn in terms of the actual units we provide? What kind of facilities on site do we need to make that material? What kind of studio do we need? What kind of skills do we need faculty to have as they present mini lectures, as they put together their videos and organise forums and other kinds of readings? So this is a big issue for us and a wonderful opportunity to rethink. Someone even suggested that every student online needs to have virtual reality goggles and they see lectures in 3D, which I think is all a bit kind of much. Who wants to see me in 3D? But that's just blue sky dreaming, trying to work out, well, what would it look like, this kind of education in 10 years? I think we do really well. But we need to not just think we should keep doing the same.
Yes.
That I think is really important, given that technology in our world changes quite so quickly.
That's right. And I think when Ridley started the online program, we were one of the world leaders in online education. But now, post-COVID, I know that a lot of the major universities are doing recorded lectures and online offerings. So the technology available, the software, the thinking about online education is continuing to move forward.
That's right. Heard a wonderful story recently of a cohort of women in the US who have been put together by Lynn Cohick, and they're thinking of doing Ridley Online together, though they're dispersed in the US, but to have a cohort in an online unit, which is really fantastic that Lynn has kind of sponsored that. And they haven't found anything as good in the US in terms of the offerings, the production values and so on, which is just really heartening to hear, right? Which is just really, really tremendous.
That's right. It's a way that Ridley can be serving churches and the worldwide church beyond just people who can make it to Parkville.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And a part of what we're doing as well is developing our certificate units.
That's right.
So sometimes we take snippets of other units, degree units we've filmed, and we make them certificate units, but sometimes we want to start fresh and produce a certificate unit, and they've also been so well received with tens of thousands of people around the world using them. And I'm always getting photos, texts from friends in churches showing me a picture of their church hall and a recent certificate unit that their people have been watching together, which is really, really encouraging.
Yeah.
We've just released Peter Adams' missional prayer units, and there'll be a new unit for the certificate on worship coming up soon. So we're very thankful for that. It does take resources to make. We're really thankful that it's free to the public, that this is something that we can bless the church with. And actually was named in the Archbishop's lecture last week that we need more resources for adult lay leadership in parishes or ministries, which we thoroughly agree with.
That's right. Not everybody has the time or the money or even the calling to come and study at a degree level at Ridley. But this is a way that we can be equipping the church.
Correct.
And bringing good, solid, scholarly based resources to the church in an accessible format.
It needs to be accessible, and I think we do achieve that. Years ago, Ridley faculty did certificate study at Melbourne University on how to teach at a tertiary level, which was a great initiative. The funny thing was the Ridley faculty who were participating in the course did so much better in their presentations than lots of the other Melbourne uni faculty. And I think it's in part because we're used to communicating in home groups or in Sunday sermons or in seminars. And so I think we're pretty well skilled in presenting certificate units because it's just our world. We get how you do that kind of communication.
That's right. It's never just the kinds of books that would only sit on a Ridley shelf that faculty are writing. There's those scholarly books, but there's also, books for a wider audience.
Yeah, there must be. The
faculty going and visiting churches, preaching at churches, visiting, training days, camps, that sort of thing.
And prayer retreats or whatever it might be. I know it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
One of the other things we're doing in thinking about the end of financial year appeal is trying to imagine what the Anglican Institute, the other AI,
yes.
the other AI might need or what shape it will take in the coming years. You're a witness to the growth of AI in the last number of years.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So just seeing the Anglican Institute students gathering on a Monday a couple of years ago, they filled one table in the dining hall.
Yeah, that's
but now you walk in to lunch on a Monday and the room's got a buzz to it.
Correct. Yeah.
There's a lot of people there now and a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, good conversations happening around the table.
Yeah, and Archbishop Rick's own personality and his capacity to inspire others, I think will lead to more people putting up their hand and offering for leadership in various spheres. And we want to train people for leadership in churches, not just Anglican, right? And we want to train people for leadership in Pentecostal churches or Baptist churches and to know best how we can do that.
It might be good, Rhys, just for those who are listening who don't know what we mean by Anglican Institute, to just explain a little bit about how that functions at Ridley. Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. Some people think the whole of Ridley is the Anglican Institute. Ridley has, I think at the moment, it's 56% of students who are Anglican, and then the rest are not, from other denominations. Of the Anglican students, a number want to pursue ordination. So we have a separate discrete program on Mondays for those pursuing ordination. In the Diocese of Melbourne, the Diocese of Tasmania chiefly, though sometimes for military chaplaincy and so on. Mm-hmm. So in that day together, led by Tim Johnson, we have chapel, we have lunch together, and then some units for study that the diocese requires of students. It used to be, if people have been around at Ridley for some years, called STFE, Supervised Theological Field Education. That's gone. We've replaced it with a unit for those training for Anglican leadership called Reflective Practice, learning how to think, ask questions, join together theology and lived experience, how the Bible works to hold them all together. So that's been a really fruitful unit for those wanting to be ordained. But we also teach a unit on the prayer book, Anglican identity, the other AI. There's just too many AIs, where we think about what makes Anglicanism different, what are the challenges of Anglicanism, what are its blessings for its own life and for the world, as well as just building up a head of steam, just giving these folk from around Melbourne who would never otherwise be in the same room together an opportunity to get to know each other and to develop their peer support. And we put it on Mondays because Trinity down the road, the other Anglican theological school in Melbourne, has their formation day on Monday. So we can share some resources and join together occasionally for that, for mutual learning.
That's right.
Yeah. But we need to think about how we fund this into the future, what kind of staffing it requires. And it's very expensive to run a program for a small number of students. We have kind of 30, 35 at the moment. But in my imagination, the way we're shaping the Anglican ordinands spills over into the life of the college, and the formation we do with that smaller group then sets an agenda, leads more generally in the life of the college. So it has a bigger impact than just those people attending on Mondays.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bec, the other thing we're hoping to raise money for in this end of financial year appeal is to employ a partnerships manager. That might be a phrase, a title that's not really well understood by some people. But what do you think it is we're trying to do with that position?
I guess there's not really much point of Ridley existing just in a little bubble, doing our own little happy things. That's just not why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing this because we want to be a blessing to the church. We want to be a blessing to Melbourne and beyond. And so it's really important that we're working with our partners. That's the Anglican Diocese is a really important partner for us. But we have other partnerships with people like CMS, with churches around Melbourne and overseas. Right. We've got some important partnerships with churches a little bit further afield in Australia as well. And so it's really important that we're talking to them about what they need from Ridley, what kind of graduates they need, as well as creating pipelines for students to come to Ridley.
Yeah, building trust, helping people to see that Ridley is a good option, a good fit for them, and actually encouraging ministers, vicars or rectors in churches to develop their own pathways and pipelines towards ministry, and sometimes we can upskill them that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We need partners. We can't bring people to college. Churches have to send them to us.
That's right.
And the point of them being at college is not that they stay here, but rather find a pathway back into ministry. So those opportunities we need to resource really and lubricate. And if anyone listening to this podcast has suggestions for people who might be a good partnerships manager, we've been advertising and we'd love new folk to apply.
And I think it goes beyond just getting students to come and having jobs for them to go to, but also ongoing relationships with those people, supporting them in their ministry. And like you say, continuing to help them develop those skills so they can also then be raising up leaders.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we all have a part to play in the ministry ecosystem. And again, the Archbishop was really good in naming this and helping people to see the role they play and helping each part to do its bit, not pretending that it has to do everything, but what it is doing to do it kind of well and intentionally.
That's right.
Which I think is really significant.
So, Rhys, if people have been excited by what we've been talking about today, some of the things that Ridley are looking to continue developing, how can people donate if they want to be part of this?
Yes. Thank you, Bec, for the question, and thank you to our friends who do so generously support us. It's as easy as going to ridley.edu.au/EOFY appeal, where all donations are tax deductible. And of course, that would mean giving before the end of the financial year, the 30th of June. Though, of course, if you're not very good with computers, you can phone the office and we can take your details over the phone. That's always an opportunity as well. We are very grateful to our supporters and we're thankful that we've had this opportunity to talk about where Ridley's at this middle of 2026. So we're signing off now from a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Bec. And we look forward to you subscribing to this podcast and tuning in again next time.
Thank you for listening to the Ridley College podcast, brought to you by Ridley College. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and liking our podcast. Also, be sure to check out our Ridley Chapel Sermons podcast through the link in our podcast description. This podcast is made possible through the generous donations of our alumni and supporters. We welcome your partnership with us in our mission of equipping men and women for God's mission in our rapidly changing and increasingly complex world. If you'd like to contribute to our work, you can donate via the link in the description below.